part 5, I think 6, part 6 maybe. Last part of a conversation about a conversation. Yeah, okay. So anyway, it doesn't hurt to introspect and whatnot. So put it in that category, blah, 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 blah. Continuing.
Why are you getting into conversation with someone like Superhuman Dance?
Well, I didn't really do that. I mean, he made some... so he asked me, so this was after the technical difficulty. We came back. I didn't hit the record button right away, but I got to it eventually. So, sort of asking me again. And, I point out the facts. I mean, I made 4 videos. I mean, one of them, I played an entire video of Superhuman Dances, so 2 of the videos. And the other 2 were peripherally related. And there were a lot of accusations he made, frankly. And a lot of what he was saying was also confused, in terms of trying to figure out what exactly he's complaining about. And apparently he has some complaint about people who assert that there's facts and that the universe is sort of for us to describe. Like you could say the universe is square, or you could say that the universe is round, or it's triangular. I would argue that it's a fact. I mean, maybe it's just some other shape, but I'm just saying it's a shape. Things are something, and we can either accurately describe them or inaccurately describe them. But I think it's just kind of silly to pretend it doesn't matter, what we are asserting the truth to be. Now, whether the universe is a triangle or a square or a circle, that might not matter, okay? It just might not be relevant. But statements about the human condition, or statements about the animal condition, or the fact of evolution, those statements are significant and meaningful. And if you don't believe in evolution, I think you're crazy. Frankly, you're stupid, but you're so stupid that you're dangerously stupid. So I think it is really important to get those facts right, frankly. Yeah. Videos, he made some comments over the last couple of years. I haven't been paying any attention to his videos, so he had made some that had comments relevant to me and people who I think are very good, antinatalist, ethicist, / and I thought they were just gratuitously stupid, ignorant, dumb things to say about these people and myself. And so I defended against those accusations. Yeah, so it's again, it's hecklers, it's the trolls. They sort of force an agenda of a sort because they do make really nasty accusations that are very disparaging and insulting. And it always takes more time to tell the truth than it does to tell a lie. So that's, to defend the truth is work. And unfortunately, they force you to do that extra work sometimes. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to ignore, but some of it's hard to ignore, especially when other antinatalists are playing along, like it's all okay. It sort of pisses you off. And statements and separate. I only made 4 videos. I mean, it's not like I made a lot of videos, and one of the videos was really just a 2-parter where I played his actual criticisms and responded to them. And then I made a video. So I guess I'm not really getting this point, and I'm getting frustrated, so I am interrupting, blah, blah, blah. But, I don't see it as an extraordinary thing for somebody to defend themselves against somebody making a lot of accusations. Maybe he didn't watch all of the Superhuman Dance videos. Maybe he has no clue how insulting they were.
Now, I'm suggesting here that firstly, if you went into ad hominem attack, you said he had man boobs or something.
So I guess he watched one little clip and pretended that was the whole conversation. I'm going to make the counter joke here. Well, let me say it. Let me say it. I mean, it's one statement after he called me a hobo. Yes, I'm just illustrating that, yes, I can return compliments. So if he wants to give me a compliment and call me a hobo and a bum, I can call him something. So that's all I was doing. So I'm I'm not really worried about.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's making all these personal attacks, like he's unapproachable in terms of his own appearance or his own way of making videos. I mean, he's a slob in how he makes videos. He eats in the videos. He camera angles all over the place. Doesn't even do a coherent walk and talk. I mean, he's terrible. It's just so funny that he's insulting somebody else. I mean, he's living in such a glass house.
Okay, so my suggestion is that I just think that, you know, I just think it's below you to do that type of thing. I think you should be aiming to having conversations with Sam Harris and
well, I understand, but I've
Yes, well, of course, that's the aim, but you can't force the conversation, you know, so you have to earn it by the earning it rules. And the earning it rules are, you know, you only get fame by doing something extraordinarily stupid or extraordinarily pleasant to to the editors. Okay, so it's all about the editors, the people in control. And they like you or they hate you, and you know that's how simple it is. And so popularity isn't something earned in any rational way. It's earned by this convoluted political system that we have, and we see it all over the place. There's all kinds of people who think they've earned something and they're the elite. They'll call themselves that. I just saw a tweet. You know, somebody had posted somewhere about whatever her name is, the stupid Trump daughter. Talking about how they're insulting the elite. You know, these are just people who inherited it and failed even by having a huge head start, gigantic head start, given all the you know, all the latitude not to have to worry about failure, you know, all kinds of safety nets, all kinds of everything, and they're such poor performers, and yet they still think of themselves as great successes, and it's just amazing that works. But it does. People don't care about earning anything. They just care about the end product, which is say what I want to hear.
I got like 8,000 videos, and yeah, some percentage of them are me responding to assholes who say outrageously stupid things about me. I mean, he called me a drug addict, said I'm on all this medications. He says I plagiarized all of my ideas from other people. I mean, you can't just let that crap sit out there and say, I'm not going to defend myself. Well, of course I'm going to defend myself, and that's what I've done.
Yeah, I mean, really, I don't know. What choices do I have? So, I hear it from both sides. I mean, there's the you know, the drama whores are just dying for more drama, so they want you to feed it, you know, and then you got these other people preaching at you like, oh, you shouldn't get into the mud and fight and blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, there's no winning.
Yeah, okay, so I think we can disagree on that. I personally think I go out on the street, yeah, and one of the things that I've learned on the street, which I have to admit that when I get home, I find it very difficult to put that into practice. So I'm not perfect by any means. But one of the things in the street is that when someone...
Well, I know, but see, this isn't really the street, right? It is a little bit like home when your own are attacking you. I mean, this is a guy who, you know, frankly, wouldn't be doing what he's doing if it wasn't for me doing it first. And, you know, I'm getting ragged on from somebody who has no reason. There's just absolutely no reason for all this hostility towards me. None. It's totally unjustified, and it's coming from your own family, yeah. And so you react. I mean, if it was an anonymous asshole, trolled, yeah, then it's ignorable. But that's not what it is.
Start attacking me for whatever reason they do, yeah. I have no interest in...
I understand, but as you're conceding, you're editing your videos for an audience. I'm editing my videos, or I'm making my videos for the idea of organizing arguments, to making arguments, developing arguments, all of that. And so I've made...
Yeah, so part of being heckled is going to be part of the future. Part of getting these nonsense, stupid, why don't you just kill yourself, idiotic crap from people is part of your training to be in this game, because that's what you're going to get from that's going to be most of the counter arguments. They can't make a rational argument, so they have to attack you because they got nothing else to attack.
Walk and talk videos. I mean, my videos are my life. A lot of my videos are me living my life.
See, I shouldn't even be defending myself against this accusation that I'm doing videoing wrong. Yeah, okay. I didn't. Like I said, you don't go into it with this, very well constructed plan. There's no blueprint. There was no guide to follow. And if I was to follow a guide, it would have been, pretending to make friends with people I hate and all kinds of other bullshit that you'd have to do. Insincere bullshit.
And they're also about other philosophical subjects, economics and whatnot. So
look what success is. I mean, The Amazing Atheist was very successful, and what was his strategy? Go to fake charities, steal money, create fake sympathies. I mean, it's all fake. Is that what I'm supposed to do to be successful?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying the Gray Channel is one way of gleaning my philosophy, okay, in short sound bites that most people need, okay. I would argue that maybe I should have a separate channel for the purely philosophical arguments I make, and then a separate channel for the other stuff. Look, I did physics videos on my Inmendham channel, and everybody got upset that I was doing physics videos, so I had to make a separate channel for the physics videos. I actually do have a...
You can't please any of the people any of the time. Again, if they have the great plan, why aren't they implementing it?
Just Say No to Kids. I have a channel called Just Say No to Kids because it was almost like I was being forced to segregate that content. So I have channels for all this different stuff, but I just got sick of making my videos on all the different channels that were getting 25 views. I mean, if I get 400 views...
Right, there's just no practicality to it, so blah, 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 whatever.
On my Inmendham channel, why would I put them on another channel to get 25? So I was seeing, oh, that's not very productive.
Right. One other thing that I've thought about being involved with myself is, have you ever, do you not think there is a need for you creating emissaries, people to go out there and share this message and teaching people how...
All right, so he had a little bit of a lag in his internet, so he was saying missionaries. So, now we get into this whole thing of sycophants and this whole manipulating people and, blah, 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 blah. And as I've pointed out before, I think I want to point out here is that, a lot of the people who come early to the cause came early to the cause because they're like me. It's obvious. Life does suck because they've experienced it. And even if they haven't experienced some grand trauma, they appreciate the trauma. They're more sensitive, whatever the right words would be. They're not glib assholes, and they didn't learn how to be glib assholes. They didn't learn how to just pretend to live in fake fairy tales where everything's happily ever after, when no, it's run over by a car. I mean, it's not happily ever after. It's horrible and unnecessary and wasted.
Well, see, most of the people converted, I would argue, are the people who are currently victims. So they get it really easy. And the fact is that most of the people who are anti-natalists now, I would argue, are anti-natalists like I became one, just by living. And the fact that we saw the harsh side of life, and it in some ways even disabled them. So I'm saying a lot of them are crippled people in the first place, so they're not exactly the kind of people you set on the world. You don't take a bunch of sort of damaged people with issues, and say, yeah, go out and be the poster child, because they're really not...
Interesting pause moment.
In a condition to do that.
Yeah, so it's like the crack Suicide Squad of Mighty Python fame. This is, the dysfunctional You know, I mean, they'll probably make a movie. You know, they probably have one. The dysfunctional. You know, have a bunch of different forms of cripple. You know, superheroes, because that's all politically correct now. You know, handy capables coming to the rescue. But yeah, it's not very practical. So I'm all for, you know, creating a nice, solid army. But I think we have to wait till we have better, you know, a draft or something. You know, so some way to get you know, the ones best equipped for the fight. And you know, the ones that are been in the trench too long probably aren't the best, including myself.
So I'd say a lot of it is just because we're all broken people, most of us, okay? Didn't come to antinatalism from, you know, from a perfect life.
Yeah, from a philosophical perspective, like, oh, let's do philosophy and find out the truth. You know, they weren't doing philosophy. They were living a life that sucked.
They came from it from an imperfect one that's damaged them. So that would be one liability.
I would probably say that, I mean, you know, that I definitely didn't have a perfect life, but I don't think anybody has a perfect life. And but I've had a very privileged life, and I have, you know, I've got all the trappings of,
Yeah, great. I'd love to give you mission state. You know, I'd love to give you the mission statements to go out and do things. But I'm just saying. But that's sort of the difference, right? I mean, immature people versus mature people. You know what I mean?
Well, that's all part of it too, right? I mean, there's you know, loose cannon kind of arguments, and we're all in our youth. You know, it's hard to have a well ordered structure. You're not very structured, and that's why it's always dangerous for people to get famous too young, because you know they squander it and make lots of stupid decisions and blah 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 blah. And so it's, you know, it's all part of the, you know, who, you know, what you really want in terms of professionalism.
If you were a CEO assigning tasks to people, you're going to assign them based on, oh yeah, well I need the mature guy to watch over the immature people and blah 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 blah. So a lot of antinatalists are young people. A lot of them are different. You know, I just don't see the movement, okay, being in a form yet where you do create poster childs for it or emissaries for it. The real objective, from my point of view, is to create the mission statement first. Create the political party before you create the representatives of the party. You know what I mean? The platform first. So I'm sort of a platform guy saying, well, let's have the platform for the party before we have a candidate. You know, let's not run for president until we have an idea. You know.
Just not an idea, but you know, a strategy and such. I guess it goes beyond that. I mean, like, look, anybody's talking is a good thing. So you know, you know, anybody making the argument. It just, the point is if you're going to do it in some to maximize your impact, it has to be something that can be regularized and become dependable and independent of who's arguing in defense. You know, that there's a consistency. Consistency is a good thing, so it's good to have consistency in the arguments being made. If it's going to become a something that ends up being popularly talked about, you don't want it to be talked about as if you're completely different people representing the same thing.
Of how to do it.
Okay, I think for the moment that's sort of most of my questions. I'm sure we can, I'd love to have another conversation where we can sort of think about this further, and if other people, I'm sure that if I put it up on my channel, then people will have lots of questions for you and for me. Do you have any other points or questions you wanted to talk about?
So he chose not to put it on his channel, which is perfectly agreeable with me. I mean, like I said, it was kind of a sloppy, technical and such. But yeah, it's good conversation, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing. Just that this is the first. We talked about talking a year or two ago, and didn't happen, and this and that. But I'm glad. I'm glad you made the. Let's just so other people don't misunderstand. Just because you did do an interview with certain other people and blah blah blah, and this will be looking like I did something. You came to me, and that was great, and I'm glad you did. And I thought I found it extremely touching, or whatever the right word would be, your explanation of your transition to antinatalism. I think it's really brave to step forward even after you've had kids, because they have, you're stuck with that exact statement where every time something happens.
Yeah, like there's been people who have somehow found fault because certain antinatalists did come to it late in life, and again, it's just one of these eureka things. You don't blame people for showing up too late. Or late, because there's no too late to show up. It's not that kind of party that it matters when you show up. So I just find that kind of criticism stupid, and like I said, in light of the fact that there's a lot to separate yourself from, in terms of you've lived your life a certain way, having relationships with people based on common understanding, and you're changing those rules rather radically, and that's probably not easy to do. I can't imagine myself becoming a Christian or something. It's just such a radical change in identity, and so that's a pretty substantial thing to take on, is the consequences of changing, coming out of the closet, so to speak. It's not that easy.
If it goes wrong, they're going to say, "Daddy, fix it, because it's your fault." Okay, so that's you're stepping right into that. You're also stepping against the tradition of your religion. A lot of things that you had to say, I'm willing to create that fissure, okay, with the world. It's important enough to draw the line and say, I'm outing myself. Okay, I'm not going to pretend anymore. I'm not going to, don't do your silly theater in my house, because I will laugh at it, that kind of thing. You're making those kind of statements. I'm saying it.
Yeah, in a way, you're putting people off. Not even if they understand, they know they can't say the same things they used to be able to say. They can't play you the same way they played you before, and you're risking a lot of relationships by doing that. You're risking being something they don't want to hang around with anymore, and all that kind of crap.
Maybe differently, but I'm just saying I think it's really brave. And some people say, well, somebody who had kids can't be an antinatalist. I think that's the best kind, because it's an admission that all this is a realization. It's just an enlightenment. It's like any other eureka thing that happens to us in our lives, and all we're trying to do is get that little light bulb to turn on in other people's heads that says, no, I'm not a psycho killer. I don't endorse psycho killing.
Yeah, and just admit that they're so easy to get caught up in the gang and the mob and the traditions and the habits, and to play along. And so much of what everybody plays along with is just wrong, like deficit spending. Yeah.
So yes, I understand. If evolution is a psycho killer, I don't want it out of jail. Okay, I'm not going to set it free. Okay, I'm not stupid enough to think child molesting and child murder makes sense. And just to, well, anyway, I don't do the philosophy, but anyway, I'm glad you contacted me, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Yes, true. Even after watching the whole video again, yes, yes, I can't see the harm in it anyway.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, so till the next time, let's beat it to death. All right. Literally and figuratively, in every way possible. Okay, so till the next time.
Well, I'll probably have to wear a suit the next time. But anyway, not smoke. Meh. So, that'd be all, right? Yeah, that's it. The end. Okay. So we made it. So back to our regularly scheduled whatever, and such, which I'll attempt to do something new and different. It is 2:20 and all that kind of stuff, right? 2020. Well, we'll see. So anyway, thanks for your participation, your attention, blah, 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 whatever. And so, we'll see what happens. And such. Mostly.